Okay, you won that one. You won that one. You made me laugh before we started. Okay.
Space. I'm just getting started. The final frontier. These are the voyagers of the starship Adequate. Our ongoing mission until we are cancelled and not replaced by something far superior because it's our own channel. Just silence.
Just be silence. Yeah.
Just bound and gagged and then taken off air.
But enough about
Berlin. To review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence. To seek out new guests, and trust me, we're looking, and make them very uncomfortable. To boldly go where many other Star Trek-based YouTube channels have gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, treks and trekkers, and deluded geese, and welcome to a live episode of Trekking Up North. I am one of your hosts, Captain Goodwill.
What's got into you today? Where's this energy come from? Are you trying to outact Chakotay in this episode?
Kevin, I am one of your hosts, Captain Goodwill. I am far from the bones of my people. However, it is Redcar. And joining me, as ever, is the delectable, beautifully framed and lit Geesian from the planet Borg.
I bought a light. I bought like two lights. So I've got like a blue one over here and I've got a red one over there. It's like really dramatic and stuff.
If you
and
turn
picture down.
If you turn that blue light off, right, you look like Roxanne.
Oh,
here we go.
Roxanne.
You don't actually wait. We've got other filters that we can use on the lights.
Put the piss filter on, please.
I was threatening on Twitch the other day to put the piss to do a piss stream where we just change it all to be yellow. I can't see it too far away. Go on, get the piss filter on. That's gonna be yellow, yeah. There we go.
That's a 90s flashback.
I will say, if you're listening to this on the audio version on Spotify and Apple Music and whatnot, you will miss out on all of the lovely piss stream goodness there. It was not worth it. But yes, that's another thing I've got to announce. I was just kind of thinking the other day, like, you know, the people listening on audio, they must miss out on so much, and you're like, not really.
Not really. No.
Our antics are just garbage. But no, we've got it up and running again. We have it after a long delay of not having control of our Spotify and Apple Music and all of the sort of audio platforms. We have it now, thanks to the wonderful Sammy from Nerdy Up North. We have access to it, we have control over it, so we will be updating it going forward and trying to slide all of the missing episodes into there. So I don't know how that's going to work or how it's going to inform people, but they're going to be there.
It has been a heroic episode, a heroic effort. It's been a traumatic episode.
It's been more exciting than this bloody episode of Trek, I'll tell you that.
It was a heroic. Oh my god!
Heroic. Are you feeling heroic? You've expended all of your energy in that opening monologue. That was the most animated I've seen you in years.
I am spent. It has been a heroic effort from Science Officer Synoiz this week, and I have only contributed by giving numerous Spotify login verification codes throughout the day.
It winds me up so badly. Like, sorry, this is my technological rant at of the day, but like. Yeah, on Spotify, when you try to log in, it goes, hey, what's your email address? So you fill it in and you click next. And then it goes, we've emailed you with a code. And you're like, I don't want to do a code. I want to do a password. How do I turn this off? And it's like, nope, we've emailed you anyway. So you have to kind of, it sends you an email anyway, which goes to Goodwill. And I'm like, that doesn't help me at all. And then you have to press a button saying, actually, I'd like to use a password. So you click that, and then you can log in. But there's no way to stop it emailing you a code.
So funny.
You keep sort of stopping working, sending the code over to me, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm already in.
It was so funny, because at one point, right, I was having a very serious conversation with someone. I was like, look, you need a new engine. It's going to be £10,000. Verify your spotting login. Hang on a minute. Send. you're gonna need a new engine. And I'm like, what's the matter? Are you seeing things? Are they trying to communicate
The aliens are trying to communicate with me through the
Round
medium
one.
of there possibly being a bee behind my curtains.
Oh no.
So, yeah, you know, one of those things of normally if it was a fly I could ignore it, but like if it's a bee or wasp, I'm like probably need to deal with that. But yeah, so people on audio once again, you're missing out on me looking to the side to see if there's a bee behind the curtain. There's a silhouette and it looked bigger than it should have been.
Oh, the trick of the light. Another thing that the audio listeners are going to miss out on is this. That's right, bitches. We got the swag. Look at this delicious USS Adequate hat. Personally hand-stitched.
Goodwill has put on a fancy bit of merchandise on his head. It looks delightful. I'll tell him that.
Oh, we need someone to do audio descriptions. We really do. Synoiz looks worried. Captain Goodwill is too fat.
What we need is who should we get to do it? I think
Keiko.
Oh God.
We need Rosalind Chao. We need Rosalind Chao.
Rosalind Chao. Like the fact of that, like we had a big thing in the Discord and in various group chats and stuff the other day when we found out, and on Goodwill stream on Tuesday, we found out that Rosalind Chao, Keiko O'Brien herself, is going to be at STLV. So this is finally our opportunity to make our theories canon by seeing if we can get this poor actress to agree that all of our stuff is intended.
You know the show that you starred in 30 years ago? Well, we've got a theory for you.
We've got the race to the bottom of the most annoying fans that she's going to speak to at all of STLV. That is our mission. We're the ones that she remembers and gets security involved with.
I think it's going to be, when people see us at STLV. I'm not saying we're famous, but I think when people see us at STLV...
Infamous. There's a specific word for
when people see us arrive at STLV, they're going to make a, excuse the pun, beeline to Rosalind Chao and be going, right, just an FYI, there's these two Brits...
The nutters is the technical term.
They've got a theory and they would like to speak to you. And suddenly she's not going to be available for any photo opportunities with us.
That'll be like, she has cancelled all of her photo opportunities.
It's destiny, though, when you think about it. Like, now is our time to get it on video that she is the most evil entity in Star Trek history. I want Science Officer Synoiz and Rosalind and Keiko O'Brien to have it out on camera.
This poor woman.
Could you imagine? It's like, catch you fools! You've thwarted my plans.
Imagine. that would be all of my dreams fulfilled if we could actually get Rosalind Chao in on the joke.
That would make my goddamn day. And the fact she's released Miles O'Brien from the basement radiator for these photo opportunities.
I just love with all of these amazing things, like literally the idea, because I still haven't met him, but getting to meet Cole Meany, it's like all of the wonderful people that are going to be at STLV, and I'm excited about Keiko O'Brien because that's the one where you just like, she never appears. Like it's one of these things that she very rarely does these things, so it's kind of, I'm very excited about the prospect.
We are very much looking forward to being thrown out in day one of STLV for confirming this theory to Rosalind Chao.
Chao.
But,
that's it. But you've made her a Chan.
It has been a day.
You channed her. Have you been channing Rosalind?
Our Chan. We
Put
are
a Chan
here.
on it.
This is more exciting than this episode, guys. We're just putting off the inevitable now. Very much like a proctology appointment. We must grin it, bear it, and prepare for entrance. Because we have to review...
Sorry. Okay, we will get to this.
We will get this. We have to review the fight from season 5 of Star Trek Voyager. Now, I realised something today, and I don't know if you did this. We reviewed an episode of Voyager, which was the one before this last year, and that was also in the Dabo Wheel. And it was also a Chakotay episode. So for one brief period in April 1999, we had a Chakotay double bill. And I'm not quite sure how Voyager recovered from this to gain 2 more seasons, because this was... I mean, this had potential.
It feels like contractually obliged, where they're just like, oh God, we've got to do a Chakotay episode, but what are we going to do? I don't know, just throw some shit together. Like, it's really strange. But I think the thing about this episode, like you say, there is a good episode hidden in here, but the problem is I actually think there's 2 good episodes hidden in here, but they just don't work together. Like the 2 main plot things of him having hallucinations about a fight and the thought of his grandfather and like him potentially going crazy because he has a genetic condition. That's one story. And then another story is chaotic space and these aliens that communicate telepathically, but they don't work together. And the fact that the episode starts so badly, where the episode starts at the end, where they're all like going, hey, we're in chaotic space, like, oh, we're still in chaotic space, and there's these aliens and you need to communicate with them and you need to try harder. And it made me, before the titles even ran, it made me go, have I missed an episode? Is this a 2-parter, and do I need to go back and watch the episode in front? So I stopped it, started the episode in front of it, and was like, oh no, it's this one again. I went, oh, but then just went back into the episode really confused, being like, that's how they're starting it. They're starting it like with all of this sort of setup, which would have been more exciting to be slowly revealed rather than just dumped before the cold open.
It's that classic trope. It's that classic trope where you get a cold open where like there's an absolute abundance of chaos, or there is a tense scene where the lead character is in jeopardy, and then after the intro it goes 1 week earlier or 72 hours earlier. We don't really get this.
It doesn't do that. Like,
no.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest problem. Well, no, not my biggest problem with it, but it's the fact that it's not clear what's going on. Like and there's nothing visually to tell you. So the cold open is in the future, where it's basically going, hey, we're trapped in chaotic space, and Chakotay's having these like visions and these voices and stuff, and then it stays in in that time after the intro, but then it has Chakotay in sickbay start talking about the past and about him doing this fight simulation thing in their holodeck, and then it goes into the past, but then it stays in the past for the entire episode, and it never specifically gets back to the scene in the cold open.
So
I'm never fully
disjointed.
sure where it fits. It's just, whereas it would have been so much better having the cold open being him in the holodeck having the fight thing, and then seeing the weird stuff happen, and that being the cold open, and then it going into chaotic space. It's so weird how it's free.
There's some really poor directional choices in this episode, and like it to the point where I was very rapidly losing interest in it because there was just nothing keeping me engaged.
I did 30 minutes of Duolingo during this episode.
Oh my God. A 45 minutes episode, and for 30 of them he was talking another language.
Yeah, I'd one hand was taking notes in Notepad next to me, just being like, some shit's happening, and then the other one was like German grammar.
It's just so like it's like Dystopian has said in the chat there. Chaotic space, Voyager technobabble. Now we're used to Voyager technobabble at this stage, but this was like, what? Like, this made no sense. And like, the beings that inhabit chaotic space, are they in every part of chaotic space? Is it this one specific location of chaotic space? Why do they choose to communicate with this one random genetic thing? Did they try other people? Why
we
is
find
it?
out nothing about
No.
them. Like, that's the problem. It's like, hey, this alien, hey, it sounds really exciting. Never going to hear about them again, and we're never going to explain any of this. And it's so weird.
And
Like,
it's like, you know, they don't really make first contact. They're just like, hey, we live here. Get out before you die. And it's like, okay, who are you?
why do you care?
Where do you care? Where did you come from? How do you know how we need to adjust our warp field and our sensor array to exit this? How are you advanced enough to know that? Why are you communicating via this? And they're not like, you know, this is the only way we can communicate with you. This is that. We get nothing all the way through the episode. And there's just some really weird beats throughout the episode that just really frustrate me. Like there's bits where he goes on a vision quest in his quarters and then somehow is in sickbay when he comes out of the vision quest. How did he get to sickbay? Did they carry him? Did he walk there? How? And then when he's on the bridge and he's hallucinating about the boxing gloves, like he started to hallucinate. And Paris, who's on the other side of the bridge, is like, "Oh, let's call sickbay." And then he tries to twat Tuvok, and you're like, "What? How? What? Like, what's going on?"
It is. It's very odd. And once again, it's two plot lines that one of them has merit, like the whole chaotic space and these aliens. That has a lot of merit. The fight, as in the actual sort of Chakotay boxing ring thing, it's a weird one because it's not foreshadowed at all. It's one of these ones where it's like, hey, this person's never expressed any interest in boxing whatsoever. We'll just make it appear. It's Babylon 5 level of, hey, we've changed the character around in order to make this plot
Especially
work.
for 5 years into a series where it's just like, hey, you know this character you know for 5 years? Oh, by the way, he's heavily into boxing and was boxing
Has it ever mentioned his grandfather?
Never. Well, it's mentioned his great. It's he's
but
mentioned
not
his
him going
family.
crazy.
No, absolutely nothing.
And it just feels like, where did this come from? And you know what? When we were celebrating the crazy decisions that TNG made in season 7, where it's like, hey, get all your plots out the way because this is the final like run kind of thing. This feels like one of them, whether someone wanted to do a boxing episode, so they're kind of throwing it out there. But it's not. It's like halfway through season 5. You're like, why would you? What's there? Who, you know, like what child won a prize in the send in your story idea in order for this episode to happen?
It's a really weird Chakotay episode that doesn't really. I mean, I guess it progresses Chakotay's character a little bit because we find out a little bit of his background, but not
in a bad
too
way.
much. Yeah,
That's the problem. It's the whole plot. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen this. Obviously, I hope everyone in the chat has seen this episode and we're not just massively spoiling it, but you're really not missing out. But it's the whole plot is basically Chakotay is the only person on the whole ship who has been chosen to communicate with these aliens, which are the only thing that can save them. And he refuses to because he doesn't want to. That's the plot. The entire plot is him going into struggle because he's too stubborn to listen to these alien voices.
And it's like even
what?
even the
plot?
even the Doctor multiple times says to him, you have to make contact with these aliens because we need to get out of here or we are all going to die. And all you hear is, get them out of my head. Get them out of my head. And it's like, you are the first officer. You've got the unique...
It makes him look really weak. And because it's something that's not sort of foreshadowed at all, like the idea of going, hey, Chakotay, he's amazing, he's strong, he does all these like things, but there's one chink in his armor, which is the whole his fear about his mental health or something. Then this, like we have with Tuvok, where, you know, when we kind of have the foreshadowing of him losing control in various episodes, and then we get the Ponfar episode, and we go like, oh, okay, that, you know, like it hits harder. Whereas this one just comes out of nowhere, where you're just like, okay, that's a problem you have, and we'll never speak of it again. And I don't think you resolved it at all.
I think with.
Because at the end, he goes back to boxing, and he's just sitting there, be like, hang on, I don't know what the.
Yeah, that was a really shit Rocky reference as well, which just didn't play well. But I think this is a deeper problem with the Chakotay character, where he could have been interesting. They could have gave him so much more depth, but in the end, he was just the marquee rebel who was a potential love interest for Janeway. But instead of sort of, trying to subvert expectations, they pivoted him to have an affair with Seven of Nine, which everybody disliked and has more or less forgotten, because they were like, oh, well, he's the first officer and she's the captain, so everyone's got to expect that them two are going to bump uglies. And it's like, no, let's have him going out with Seven of Nine. And you're like, okay, so let's have him going out with someone who is technically half his age in the show, and make it come from make it come from nowhere. And the problem is, in 7 seasons, there is such little development in his background and in his character that the episodes we do have, they are just so underused. And like we're saying here with these stories, that there could be a couple of good stories here if they had their own episodes and weren't mashed together in this, because this was a quintessential 90s hallucinogenic episode where they would use Dutch angles, fisheye lenses, weird lighting and everything like that to sort of, oh, this is a weird experience that we're going through. This is making me uncomfortable and stuff. And it doesn't work because the character is just not wanting to be there. The character is scared. The character doesn't want to step up, be brave, and take it. And it's constant convincing from the Doctor, from Boothby, of all people, to be like, you can't be afraid. You have to take the punches. You have to do. And even all the way through, Chakotay is like, no, just get him out my head. Just get him out my head. Just get him out my head. And it's like, that's not the Starfleet way. And I guess, yes, he is former Marquis, and, he got a field commission back into Starfleet. But still, at this point, he's been the first officer for 5.5 years.
It just feels like Chakotay's fully squandered. Like, it's the idea.
Yes.
Like a friend of mine, when I was discussing, because I did my typical sort of voice note rants to a friend earlier, and they were pointing out that there's never really an episode between Tuvok and Chakotay. Like, I know we have the one where everyone, like, what if the Marquis sort of rose up and stole the ship again? There's that episode. But there's not really a resolution between the two of them, because they don't really interact properly. Like, they don't have any kind of friendly relationship or anything. Like, the only people that Tuvok interacts with really is Kes until she goes, Janeway, and Neelix. And it's just this strange thing where you're just like, sure, why do these characters never interact? But what I've found with this, like with Chakotay, with Neelix, and with Harry Kim, whenever there's an episode about them, you kind of go, you know what would fix this? If this was around another character, and you're like, that's not good. That's like with this one, the whole thing is, if you take out the Native American references, this would be a perfect episode for Paris. The idea of like the whole thing, like Americana, where he's doing this training simulation where Boothby's there, and Boothby's there because he used to train like this at the academy, but then for some reason they're in an old like Philadelphia style sort of like
in a 20th century grungy boxing.
And you're like, that's
thing.
not Chakotay. Chakotay's not 20th century kind of thing. He's older than that or more modern. That's a Paris thing. Like, Paris would be the one going, oh yeah, I'm trying to do this. Like, what's happened? Maybe he's arguing with B'Elanna, or maybe he's questioning his masculinity, or maybe he doesn't feel like he's in control of anything, so he's doing boxing to let off steam, or something like that. It just doesn't make sense it being Chakotay doing this. Like, the only thing I can think of is that they were trying to make Chakotay kind of sexy, like after the Harry Kim sort of like, winning sexiest man or something, but it doesn't work at all.
I think
Chakotay's not very sexy.
They could have done some lead up to this episode with the Chakotay character. We could have had something where very much like Stigma last week, where it was a sequel to Fusion. There could have been a lead up where they're like, exploration into his family. I spent most of my younger life taking care of my grandfather. He got progressively ill with an incurable disease, and I'll
Just
get
some foreshadowing.
this. I'll also get to that bit in a little bit. But you know, I taken care of him, and it was a hereditary thing. We've had it in our family, you know, through generations. It's a hereditary thing. They found a way to suppress it. I've got it, and then you know the doctor he could have started having visions in a few episodes, or he could have started, you know, something could have happened where the doctor's going, this gene is no longer dormant. It's reactivating, and I'm trying to find a way to cure it, and then it could have played out where in this episode it becomes fully reactive again, and instead of being a massive detriment to him, it's used as a benefit to make first contact with these aliens and to save the crew of Voyager in the process. And none of this is used. None of this is like with Picard. But with Picard and like Shellaft syndrome, where you know, or Irumodic syndrome. No. With Picard with Irumodic syndrome, where it's like, okay, this is a hereditary thing. You know, this is a hereditary. No. I'm not about Picard, like Star Trek Picard. I'm on about the Picard character where, you know, he has Irumodic syndrome, and we see it in All Good Things, and then it's alluded to in Nemesis and stuff like that, and then eventually it does play out into Picard. It's planting those seeds, and all they had to do to make this more interesting would be plant this seed. And you know, they're so far away from trained Starfleet professionals that there may be no cure. Does he have to spend the next 70 years slowly losing his mind? Does he, you know, they do nothing of this. And then what we hear is, oh, well, the doctors altered my genes before I was born. And I sat there on the sofa, and me and Charlotte were watching this, and I sat there and I went, hang on a minute. So basically,
he's an augment.
So they altered his DNA before he was born. So they altered his genetic makeup before he was born, despite the fact that genetic altering is outlawed by the Federation.
Kof Bashir.
And I'm going, so technically he's an augment. And I'm going, so where's the line, right? Where's the line between this is a hereditary thing that we can do gene altering and, oh, well, your son is not going to be the smartest boy and he may have difficulties, but we can do this, but it's illegal. Where is that line? Where is that boundary? You know, is this a serious medical condition? Is it like dementia where they start to hallucinate, not know where they are? Or is it something where it's just like there's a potential that it could happen, and then Chakotay became that? But then what they could have done, and I know this is a long rant and I'm running out of moistness, but hear me out. What they could have done is, I was genetically altered as a child. When I was in Starfleet, they found out. I went AWOL from Starfleet and found a home with the Marquis, with the neutral zone. I found acceptance with these people because I was shunned from Starfleet after they found out about my... None of that could have been...
How amazing would that be, though? Because then it would kind of go, hey, Chakotay's got this kind of... this fear of going, hey, I want us to get back home, but what'll happen when we get back home? Like, I won't be able to stay in Starfleet if I'm an augment. And then the thing is, that would justify the relationship with Seven that comes out of nowhere. Because Seven's whole thing is going, hey, I'm coming back with you, but I don't know if it's going to be the place for me, and I don't know how they're going to receive me because I'm Borg. That's a perfect way for them to bond. And it just feels like they just haven't thought about any of these possible things. I mean, but I think if they'd foreshadowed it, then at least it would have given Chakotay some character depth, because he has nothing. All he has is, I used to be a Marquis, but we never bring that up anymore. And I'm very stalwart, and I make some Native American references. And you're like going, that's it. Like that's
it's
all
very
he has as a
one-dimensional.
Yeah, and you just go, if he had a condition that the doctor was having to treat over the course of the show, but with a kind of, you know, like we have with Phlox in last week's episode, where it's like him going, "Hey, you've got this condition. I'm kind of trying to keep it under control, but I don't know how long it's gonna work for." If we have that as an ongoing thing where it adds a timer of, "Hey, will Chakotay survive until they get back to the Alpha Quadrant?" That would be exciting. And then for an episode like this to come along and flip it on its head by being like, "Hey, that thing that's really debilitating and you're terrified of, actually, that's the thing that saves the entire ship."
Yeah.
And then make it into a bold statement about, "Hey, you've got autism, oh, you're gay, oh, this, it can actually help. This can actually be the thing that saves you or makes you unique or stuff." And the episode kind of hints at that, but just doesn't properly address it at all. Like the idea of going, "Hey, maybe your grandfather was a better person because he had crazy visions and stuff. Like maybe that's where his inspiration or his art came from or something." Like,
You know,
nothing. He's
it could be
literally just a crazy man.
it could be like, hey, you know, this is a very unique gene. 1 in 20 trillion or billion people has this gene, and it gives humans the susceptibility to communicate telepathically with other races and stuff like that. None of it could, you know, like loads of potential could have been explored. And like Dystopian just said there in the chat, the later episodes has Taurus justifying genetic alterations to her baby, and then you're going, but genetic alterations were banned under the Federation because of the eugenics wars. So again, it could have been that moral grey line, and we've said this a lot with Voyager, the moral grey lines of, you are 70,000 light years from the Federation. Do you abide by Federation laws and rules when you are so far away from them and you have no support and it is only you? And then you could have got into these quandaries of bending the rules for extraordinary situations. Exactly.
Being that far away from Starfleet, because that's Janeway's journey, but it doesn't seem to be anyone else's. Like, it's the fact of Janeway's is like, "Hey, how do I keep being like stuck up Starfleet when we're in this situation?" But then everyone else just seems to kind of deal with it. Okay. I mean, just as a question for both you and the chat though, like, does it count as a genetic alteration to a baby if I kick Naomi Wildman out of an airlock?
No, that is a benefit as long as Neelix is with her, because again, Neelix...
He's holding her. He's probably making his move.
Ethan Phillips justifies his paycheck this week by spending 4 hours in a makeup chair to appear in a 20-second hallucination.
But that's the problem. They literally, at this point in the series, they have no idea what to do with Paris. He's just like Taurus's husband. They have no idea what to do with Neelix. They have no idea what to do with Harry Kim. They have no idea what to do with Chakotay. And then the best episodes are the Doctor, Seven, and Janeway.
But even Kim gets fleshed out. Even Kim gets fleshed out so much. No, I mean, compared to Chakotay, Kim is super fleshed out. Whereas Chakotay, where it's like, would you have done this with William Riker? Would you have done this with Kira? You know, the two other first officers in the TNG era. No, you know, those characters were fully fleshed out. You had Riker, where he had issues with his dad, and they had really amazing episodes where he thought he was going mad reenacting a play. You had Kira with all the Bajoran stuff, like the one we did at Christmas. Duet. Such an amazing, and then Chakotay,
because of the fleshing out, because of the lore, because the characters have things that they stand for.
But they just,
Chakotay
you get nothing with this.
I've got some Native American references, and it's like, okay, but he should have been so much more conflicted throughout the show of the whole Marquis. Like, it just, the thing is, after like one season, the Marquis thing just vanishes, and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot I was part of this. Like,
I think the whole Marquis Kazon, it just was not resonating, and the show was starting to flounder. And this was Paramount's flagship Star Trek show. This was the shining jewel. They were not interested in Deep Space Nine. Voyager was the shining jewel of the new UPN network in America, so they threw everything. But then the Kazon arc didn't work, the Maquis arc didn't work, so naturally they just went to Old Faithful and brought in the Borg. And admittedly, yes, this is when Voyager started to get interesting, started to get good. But again, in a series, in a season like season 5 of Voyager with 27 episodes, you don't have the room, you don't have the ability to flesh out the lesser characters in your cast like Chakotay. And so we've got episodes based on Tuvok. We've had episodes, even in season 5, with B'Elanna Torres struggling with her own mortality and the death of her friends, the Maquis. Yeah. We've had, the Doctor episodes, 7 episodes. Chakotay is arguably one of the most, below Janeway, one of the most important characters, like important crew members on the ship. And we barely get anything. And when we do, it's so thin on the ground that you don't feel satisfied. You don't feel like you've learned and understood this character a lot more. This one is just, oh, well, his grandfather was ill and he likes boxing.
Yeah. And that's out of nowhere.
And that's completely out of nowhere. There's been no sparring matches. And I was thinking, like, they could have brought in boxing at an earlier thing where they'd be like, well, in old Earth navies, they would have these boxing matches on ships that were at sea for long periods of time because it was a good way to blow off steam. It was a good way to get grievances out in the air in like a supervised way. And I remember Battlestar Galactica did it in season 3 where they're like, hey, you're in a confined space, there is nowhere to go, people are going to be rubbing shoulders with each other, they're going to get frustrated. The easiest way to do it is to essentially beat the shit out of each other on a boxing ring. It's a Navy tradition. They could have done something like that. Chakotay could have noticed friction within the crew, not just Starfleet and Maquis, just friction, because you can't go anywhere for shore leave. The Federation, 70,000 light years. The ship can't stop for a pit stop. Things are breaking down all the time. People need to let off steam, and not everyone can go to the holodeck at the same time. What can you do? Boxing match in a cargo bay. Get a boxing ring. Teach people how to box. Get it. You just get nothing.
You could even have it as the opposite of that, where it's something that happens underground and it's a problem for the ship. Where it's like the idea of like a fight club opens up because everyone needs to blow off steam. And obviously, because we see the Doctor being very against it here. We have the Doctor being like, oh, it's barbaric, people doing this sort of thing and whatnot. No, you can get killed, and it's so sort of like a gung-ho and whatnot. And it could have had an episode about because the crew is getting so frustrated and they need to find other ways to deal with it, or find something like that. Could have been a whole episode. That could have been like a whole episode preceding this one.
Yeah.
But just the whole
There's
thing
so
just
much.
comes out of nowhere. And once my friend pointed it out, it did start to bother me. Why is it a 90s or an 80s kind of ring, if not just to reference Rocky? Like when he says,
100%.
I did it at Starfleet. And it's like, well, why doesn't it look like Starfleet? It should look like Starfleet Academy,
It should like an academy gym or something like that. Yeah.
And you just go, and obviously I get it. Sets are expensive, so they obviously just went, hey, we'll go around the corner somewhere or on the Paramount lot that was used for something else.
It's just a built set, isn't it? Yeah,
but
ridiculous.
It's more the insult of, even though he's not in that many episodes, bringing Boothby back just because he's a white-haired old man and it's a bit of a Rocky reference.
Yeah.
Like, it genuinely feels insulting to the character to be like, hey, we'll bring back this character just because he looks like generic boxing trainer, and it doesn't really sit well at all. Like, why he's there.
It's just so it's so disjointed. And one of the other possibilities they could have done is like, it could have been because they mentioned this fight with this alien. This could have been, he could have been a champion boxer in the academy, and this could have been the fight that he lost. It could have been the fight that got away, where, he's got these unresolved issues with this. And, this is...
It could have been that this, he struggles with this because this is the fight that he had at Academy, where he got injured, and when they were scanning, they discovered that actually he has this condition like his grandfather did or something. And it's some kind of harrowing memory of a battle
Mm,
that he doesn't want to go back to.
mm.
And that's what we get into. I don't know.
There's a
But have you noticed though where we've spent more time trying to work out ways to fix this episode rather than talking about it
But I'm going to
simply
say,
because
I mean,
it's
I'm
more
going to say,
enjoyable.
I'm going to say though, we don't like this episode, but at least our but at least our feedback is of a constructive nature of
Yeah.
how they could have improved it, the possibilities leading up to the, because it is
Both of us want
important.
Chakotay to be
Yes,
good. Both
we-
of us want Chakotay. I want Neelix to be good in Voyager, but he isn't. And that's the frustrating thing where you're sitting here being like, if only they do this or done this or, like, yeah.
It's our yearning to have fully fleshed out characters in Voyager, because for a lot of people, I know a ton of people that Voyager is their show. Look at Ellie. Voyager is her show. It's a really special show, and I love Voyager. Do not get me wrong. I love Voyager. What I'm disappointed in with Voyager above any of the Next Gen era shows is the sheer lack of character development on such core characters that are in every single episode. Chakotay is in more or less every single episode. They are one of the stars of the show, and we just don't get much development.
Especially when these are the ones in the Crucible. These are the ones in the most crazy situation out of everyone. Even in DS9, where they're during a war, they're literally there on a space station at the most tactically critical place in like a intergalactic war. And they have more development than the people trapped in an area where they've never been before. They have no idea how they're going to get home. Like, everyone should be going leaps and bounds and changing like who they are and sort of gaining all this stuff over the course of it. And yet it does just have everyone be just static like throughout. Like, even in
Literally.
TNG, where nobody has any reason to change. Like, there's no reason for Troy to develop from like season 1 of TNG to the end, but she does. And with Voyager, you're like, hang on, you're going through all this crazy shit. Wouldn't you change or be?
But like you said, even the apprehension, the anxiety of returning to Earth, and I mean, we harp on about this, how Voyager could have at least had one more episode, or they could have structured the last episode to deal with the repercussions of returning to Earth, where we just don't get that, and there's never a satisfying closure because of that. There could have been the apprehension of the Marquis returning, or Chakotay returning home, and that's why him and Seven of Nine bonded and had a relationship. We just don't get that. It's just all of a sudden, Seven of Nine has got a crush on Chakotay. Chakotay just goes with it, and it's like, it makes it's so disjointed. It doesn't fit. The fans hated it, but they just did it anyway, and it's frustrating because we don't even get a satisfying conclusion in Star Trek Prodigy to Chakotay, because let's be honest, was he pardoned for his crimes against the Federation because he was a Marquis operative? Did he stand trial? Was there anything that consequence wise, because we got it with Seven of Nine, and this is what the frustrating thing is with Seven of Nine. Well, Janeway fought my corner, but Starfleet wouldn't have it, and that's why I became a Fenris Ranger. At least there was a little bit of closure.
That would have been amazing to actually see in episodes, rather than just Picard season 1 being like, oh well, here's exciting stuff. Here's stuff more exciting than this episode that just happened, like that. And it's almost annoying that Prodigy, for how wonderful it is, and it's joyous that it continues Voyager, just seems to suggest that Chakotay just got off scot-free. He just kind of got back to Earth, and
became captain,
became captain, and then went on missions in experimental ships, and that's how the Protostar happens and stuff. And you're going, so no repercussions whatsoever, even though Seven was rejected.
And bearing in mind, like, this is the Federation at its most litigious, as we see with numerous court episodes, where it's like, hold the fuck on. Like, yes, they have been in the Delta Quadrant for 7 years, and yes, all the crew played their part. However, there needs to be certain discussions somewhere in the brass to go, well, what do we like? Do we pardon? Their charges would still be outstanding. Their warrants, if you will, would still be outstanding. Just to have some sort of like episode or context in Prodigy to go, well, you know, Chakotay, he fought for his position as captain and he went to trial, and you know they did this with Torres and stuff like. We get nothing. Absolute bubkiss. And then you go, well, what happened like to the other Marquis? What happened to them? Did they stay in Starfleet? Did they? It's such a disappointing
all of these
way.
exciting things. What happened to them? Because they literally get back to the Alpha Quadrant and they go, oh, so the Cardassian Empire has been absolutely decimated. Like all of space has been rewritten and everything that the Marquis stood for has been kind of realized without us there. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Like, that's a really interesting story that I want to know about. And I have a feeling, even though I don't know the novels at all, there must be a novel where someone's addressed this. Like the future of the Marquis in one of the novels. But it's just annoying that you're sitting there being like Picard, the show comes along and just goes, you know what? Let's jump over all the exciting stuff. Let's just skip that whole period where we could have all these exciting stories and just make up a new one where Romulus explodes and
I think
robots.
the problem that they had was the gap in time between Voyager ending and Picard starting, or any next gen era show starting, was too great for them to go, oh, well, hey, this is what happened 20 years ago when they got back. And the only way that they could have explained it is having those characters there to explain what happened to them, or have, you know, because I know Kim was supposed to be in Picard season 3 as a captain and stuff like that, but just they could have used, and I know this is a massive tangent, I don't care, they could have used Picard as the base plate for the discarded crossover movie that was planned after Nemesis, where it was going to be a DS9, TNG, and Voyager movie crossover, sort of like it was going
incredible.
So this is a real thing, guys. So it was going to be like, for want of a better comparison, an Avengers level thing where you've had essentially 21 years worth of seasons. And all these crews culminate together. They all come together. So you've got the Voyager crew, the DS9 crew, and the TNG crew facing off facing off a threat in this movie. But it just never got off the ground. And
It would have been too expensive.
But the sheer disappointment of the box office of Star Trek Nemesis killed any hope of that. And the problem was, so much time elapsed, and then when Star Trek was on the brink of coming back, Paramount decided to go on a reimagined route, therefore further burying any chance of bringing back these crews while still in their prime. And then you have to think, well, now it's 20 years later. You can't do the same thing 20 years later with all the crews, because obviously some actors are no longer with us and stuff like that. And
but that's why
what
it's
they
good
could
that
have
we've
done,
got stuff like Lower Decks where they're just
Yeah.
going, oh, we can just do it animated. And Prodigy, where I'm like, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with them doing a like 3-way crossover movie, but have it animated or CG, you know?
But what they could have done is do essentially, like, if you take the template of season 3 of Picard, not the story or anything like that, but it exists within the world. And you could have had 3 seasons of Picard where, you know, they needed to go to DS9. They, you know, 7 of 9 came in, and then they needed to speak to Admiral Janeway and stuff like that. And they could have that. And like we said, as much as we joke about season 3, I still firmly believe it should have been a par race. It should have been something to do with a par race. If you had the changelings there, par race infiltration of the Federation just would have made more sense, and it would have brought in the DS9 crew, and everything would have been united. And you think Fleet Formation Day, everyone is there, all the crews are there. They could have done so much with it. and
It's
it
sort
was
of thing
just
like they
all
could have had.
wasted.
I mean, I doubt he would have, but they could have had the return of Cisco as like the conclusion to like Picard or something, and then it becomes,
The
and
emissary
then it
defeats the
becomes,
Paris.
yeah, and then it becomes the amazing thing of going generations where Kirk hands the, the torch, the what's it called, the
The torch.
yeah, hands the torch over to Picard, and then we have it where Picard hands the torch over to the Cisco
Mm.
appearing, and
Yeah.
then do it, and it would have been really wonderful as a kind of like, oh yeah, this is how it all goes. But yeah, anyway, we are avoiding the episode here. We're talking about much more exciting things than this. I mean, like, I think all I have with this episode is questions and problems with like, there's so much science that doesn't make any sense. Like, and I'm so frustrated at the fact of they just kind of go. Obviously, I've talked about like the fact that nothing's in order and it's all really confusing, but the fact that like they stumble into chaotic space. They basically find an anomaly in space. They go, "Oh, that looks a bit weird," and then they appear inside it, and then Seven of Nine calls them down to astrometrics to go, "Oh, the Borg have encountered this before. It's called chaotic space, and the laws of physics mean nothing in here." And then throughout the episode, sometimes things are weird, and then sometimes things just work perfectly.
The
And
chaos is this.
yeah, things
That's
get a
it.
bit shaky, and
Yeah.
and like they can't navigate or drive around, but then their sensors still perfectly work when they're scanning another ship or teleporting from another ship, and you're like, what? Like,
And
why do the sensors work in that instance, but they don't work with other stuff? And then how did that ship like last for a year until everyone sort of gave up and died? And then we're saying, oh, you've been in for 2 days or a day. Oh, and we're gonna immediately danger, we're gonna be destroyed. It just none of it makes any sense. All of it just goes,
it's
hey, look, there's a
just
threat because there needs to be, but we're not going to explain it. And there's these
it's
aliens, but we're not
just
going to explain them. And oh,
it's so weird because again, I think it's because Course Oblivion was the previous episode that they tried to like distance themselves from that. It's really weird to have this in this type of running order where you've got two anomalous episodes with Course Oblivion.
Chakotay.
But with Course Oblivion, it's like it's the doppelganger crew that discover who they are and stuff like that. And then with this one, it's like, oh, this is another anomaly we're trying. But the thing is, the only like chaos we see is that Voyager is doing a massive circle. The ship shakes every now and then. There's no chaos. The structural integrity is still there. The artificial gravity is still there. There's no like chaos present unless you're outside and the imagery is refracted a little bit.
Yeah, like that's why I'm saying that it's two episodes that they stuck together badly into one, because this is a whole episode where you just go, hey, how do you deal when you don't have your technology? When you
Yeah.
can't rely on your sensors, when you can't move properly, and then it becomes a whole, oh, there's these aliens who are trying to help us and we have to communicate with them. How do we do that? Like, oh, and then they're sort of relearning physics in order to get out of this crazy space. That would have been an amazing episode. But as it stands, Chakotay basically has these aliens going, "Hey mate, here's the solution. Here's the solution." He's like, "I don't want to listen to you. Go away." And then he finally listens to the solution and then just goes to the bridge, types it into a computer, and then they get out. And you're like, "What did he do?" "Oh, nothing." "Okay, right. We don't know what he did. He just did something." And it doesn't make any sense. Like, and that thing Dystopian Prophet just pointed out in the chat, like on the other ship that they find, they Janeway goes like, "Oh yeah, go and get their scanning technology from that and use it to improve our sensors." Never mentioned again.
Or the body
Never
that they
brought up.
recover.
Yeah, we never see the body. Like literally, there's no budget at all in this episode. Like everyone is reused. Nothing new is brought to the table. The monstrous entity, which is called like Kid Chaos, which is pictured as a boxer, is literally just someone in boxing gear with their hood up, and then they put like a nebula inside their hood, and then yeah, we teleport an alien creature on into sickbay to have a autopsy on it so the doctor can find out like what killed it. Do we see it? No. They didn't even make a prop. We just yeah. And it's so lazy and it gives us nothing. We have a new alien. We don't even see the aliens. We literally have a scene where Chakotay goes, he like wakes up in sickbay and he's like, I saw them. They were in my what is it called? My bloody
Vision Quest.
my Vision Quest. And it's like, did they? And I literally looked up from fucking Duolingo and then had to sort of rewind the video to be like, oh, we saw the aliens. No, he didn't.
Nope.
He was in a dark room, and then it just cuts to him in sickbay, and you're like, you couldn't even be bothered to put some people in masks in like a dark room or something. Like, ah,
It's so frustrating. It's so very frustrating. And then even the way the aliens explain themselves, where they just use clips from the show to say sentences, and it's like, how would Chakotay?
At least with the prophets in DS9, they had the sense to put a piss yellow filter on the room. That at least that's at least a bit
Oh
of
my
production value.
god!
Yeah.
Oh my god! Are you with the prophets?
I'm with the I walk with a prophet's child.
Oh my god! Oh my! No one cares about your light filters, my child.
That's it. Hold on. Can I do this? Can I?
Oh my god! He walks with the prophets. He walks.
It's not working at all.
You walk with the Borg at the moment. You walk with the Borg.
I walk with a Borg.
You're about to be inseminated.
Inseminated. I don't need to threaten me
I am
with a good
6
time.
of 9. But
I'm 69. What of? Whatever you want, baby.
you the Matrix 420. But it's so lazy. Where it's like, how could we? I bet you 5 crisp English pounds.
Oh, you
Which
mean
is
like
more.
these 5 crisp?
All right. Oh, look at me. I've got income. I've got disposable income. My gift wasn't for Brexit. I bet there was a discussion in the writing room to go, hey, how do we show these aliens where we don't have to show the aliens? And someone went, let's use the crew as a medium for them to communicate. And someone just went, like the prophets, and they went, like, oh shit, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Right. Let's write the script so in a way we can just chop and change scenes like we're writing a ransom note for a kidnapping. And that'll be fine, and it won't annoy the audience.
But it does. But it could have worked. Like, this is like like the wonderful Hoshi episodes we get in Enterprise, where it's for the very few episodes we get from Hoshi, damn you later seasons of Enterprise. But it's like that, where it's like the episode could have been about how to communicate with these aliens, and it could have been like the Voyager version of Darmok and Jalad. It's like the idea of that would have been great. And then the only way that they can communicate is by sort of, using other people's voices or like sort of memories and getting the phrases out of memories. I don't know. And it's a cool idea, but it just comes out of nowhere and is never used elsewhere in the episode. It's just, it's squandered.
And then they just leave. They leave chaotic space. Literally, they just fly through a wall in chaotic space, and they are gone. But this is the most egregious part. This is the most Janeway thing possible, because in Enterprise, in DS9, in Star Trek: The Next Generation, right? You leave an area of space that could cause severe damage to other vessels. We shall leave a warning buoy because we're good people like this. We're good people. We'll go, hey, don't go into this area. You could get a fucky wookie. Janeway's like, fucking show them the tail lights, like. Poof,
To be fair though, it does say that it moves. Like, it does say, like, because 7 of 9 does say that, that we discover that it moves. Like, however, and then
did they
and
move
7
in
of 9
this episode?
Yeah, because it moves into them. Like because 7 of 9 basically sort of points out, hey, they just vanish and then they just randomly appear. There's no sort of control of them. But then what happens is when they're trying to avoid it, then they're like going, oh, okay, we'll reverse thrusters, we'll move away from it, and then it actually moves onto them. So it does. We do see it like move around and stuff.
But why does it move on to them? What's attractive?
But that's it. It just happens. Like if it was something like, oh, chaotic space is drawn to this, the way that we get out of it is by removing this from the ship or sort of repolarizing something or other. Like, and the aliens tell them that, and it just has something. But all of the science is just off screen here, where it's like, oh, the aliens have told me something, but I'll type it into the computer and we won't see what it is.
It's weird because
the
like
other thing that is weird, and I'm just mentioning this now because I have a feeling I won't get to bring it up at any point. It's the fact of how weird Paris is in this episode, where Paris is only on the bridge and he's constantly being gung-ho. There's 2 occasions when he's arguing with Tuvok, being like, hey, we should just do something because anything's better than staying still. So let's just, try and warp out of here kind of thing. And, we might as well do something even if it's dangerous. And then he does it again where he goes like, hey, let's just do this thing and see what works. And then at the end of the episode, when Chakotay runs onto the bridge being like, oh, I've got the solution and stuff, he's the one going, oh, but if we do this, we might get hurt. And I'm like, hang the fuck on. Like you've totally flipped your entire sort of like perspective over the course of the episode without any cause, really.
At this point in Voyager, I'm pretty sure he is like he's essentially another medical officer. Because I was a little bit confused where like Chakotay is on a vision quest and suddenly like Paris is there with someone else. I can't remember who, or it must have been the doctor or someone. But Paris is just there, and I'm like, why are you there? Why are you in his
no other
quarters?
crew members.
Yeah.
No other med staff
Why are you suddenly in his quarters? And then if Chakotay is going through this, why have you allowed him to do a vision quest in his quarters alone, unsupervised?
Why doesn't he just do it in sickbay?
When he's in his quarters doing a vision quest, why did he wake up on a sickbay bed? How did he get there? Who moved him? Why didn't they just do it in sickbay? Why didn't they just turn the lights off so he could do the vision quest? Why does it need to be a vision quest? Does he need to meditate in order to activate this gene? What is the benefit of doing this rather than doing something else? Rather than going to the holodeck to try and relax and maybe activate this by simulated? Nothing makes sense.
I think it's. I will admit though, it is my favorite part of the episode. It's my favorite bit of the episode where the Doctor is talking all of this science stuff and he's going like, it looks like the aliens, it looks like somehow the aliens have communicated with you by re-enabling this like dormant gene that you have and whatnot, and that's how they're speaking to you. And then Chakotay just seriously turns to him and just goes, I have to go on a vision quest. And he says it in such a way like it's a common statement for him, like just every minor problem that they have. Every minor problem they have, he's like, I have to go. It's like She-Ra transforming every episode where it's like, oh well, bit of danger, time to go on a vision quest. He's not fucking Brave Star. Like if he could like transform into like a jaguar or a bear or something, But it's just really strange that he just says it so matter-of-factly, like, well, only one thing for it. I've got to go on a vision quest.
Do you know when he said that?
And the Doctor's just like, yeah, that's perfectly fine. That's a normal thing to do.
When
me as a medical expert is fine with you doing. Well, no, he does say like, oh, are you sure? Like that will, but he doesn't. The problem is that the Doctor doesn't see it as like hokum. The Doctor's kind of like going, you mean take fuck tons of drugs and like sort of go crazy in your quarters, right?
It reminded me, so as soon as he said that, I sat down and I just went, Sherlock. Because I was like, I need to retreat to my mind palace. And it's like, this is something that maybe Chakotay has said once or twice in 5 years.
I
but
just
then
wanted to
suddenly,
be his solution to everything. Like, he's
I need
just
to go on a
like-
vision quest. Yeah, like I don't know where Neelix has put the cheese. I must go on a vision quest. And
Yeah.
it's like, what?
There are
what?
other solutions, Chakotay. Stop going on vision quest.
Basically, you want a
And it-
nap. And it's
Yeah,
like,
no, Vision Quest is him getting high in his quarters. That is literally like, he's like, oh my god, there's danger. I have to go on a Vision Quest. Like,
oh yeah, I've seen the vision.
oh god.
But
I'm really glad that people in the chat got the Brave Star reference. I'm glad I'm not the only one who's horrendously old to remember Brave Star.
we are not old.
Thank
We are
you,
just
Peach.
we're vintage and patinaed. Hello to the magnificent sheds from nice France. I hope your French dolls are well oiled.
Oof, I'll bust them open. Take that hinge off. I'm busting them open.
Deep in Kevin. We no one gets
That's how he got me before the episode started. He won the fight before the episode started.
I planned this all day because for those that don't know, what we do before we go live on air, before we begin the show, we vent. We get every inappropriate, offensive, un-PC, just awful things out, because both of us have no filters, and if we don't do it before the show, we will have no show at the end, because we will just be cancelled. So what, we get it out, and all day, like for the last 3 years, Synoiz has constantly caught me off guard. So as soon as I transition to the main screen, I'm either laughing, pissing myself laughing, or trying to keep a straight face and failing. And for today, I was like, I'm going to get you. So I just immediately, as soon as he joined the call, I just started singing and refused to relent my singing until I was complete. And I just went live. Because that's how you do it. That's how you defeat Synoiz. You give him no room to interject. That is shut up!
That's why we're going around in
kryptonite.
circles, though, because we had no chance to discuss. So, how are we going to structure this episode? How are we going to plan? None of that. Literally, just him singing to me and then pressing the button for us to go live.
But the thing is, this is the moral of this episode. You can't structure a review episode for an episode that has no structure.
We are still more structured than this episode.
Because looking at the reviews from 1999, and I quote, "I'm confused when I watch it, so I can't even imagine the audience not being confused." That is a critic from 1999 going, the fuck's going on here, like? Because no one knows. And like I said, there's not enough content in the episode to maintain the audience's attention. And it's one of those episodes where if you do not pay fastidious attention, you will easily get lost. And I have seen this episode many times in 30 years.
I've watched this episode three times. I watched it yesterday. And then obviously today I had to go out to town, so I had it on my phone. So I was listening to it on my phone while I was like sort of out and about. And then once I finished work, I basically watched the full episode and took notes and stuff. And there's so many points where I just went, oh, that's confusing. I must have missed something. And then I rewind it, and then you go, nope, Nope, I haven't missed something. It's just not very well explained. It's just a thing that happens.
Can we talk about the grandfather?
Yeah.
Because I feel they were trying to give this some emotional weight and it just fails miserably.
Well, like, where is it? What are Chakotay's feelings? Is he sort of... Does he feel guilt for how he treated his grandfather and the fact that he saw it as madness? Does he feel sort of that he failed his grandfather? Does he feel like he could have done something different? Does he feel like he misses him or that he's understanding things better? Like, there's nothing. There's literally there. I don't know what the relationship between them is. It's just... yeah, it's two
And
characters talking.
there's zero explanation, and it's like, right, okay, so Chakotay's family, are they still on Earth? Did they emigrate from Earth to the neutral zone? So that's why they became, sympathetic to the Maquis cause, and that's why he joined the Maquis. How did this all work? Because Chakotay was Starfleet before he left and joined the Maquis. So did he do that because his family was in danger because they were on a planet in the neutral zone? Did it link back to the Next Generation episode where the Federation capitulated to Cardassian demands and then turned over these planets to the Cardassian Union? What is his motivation for this? How does his grandpa fit into this? Is it, they could have made, and I'm not getting political, but they could have made references to the forced relocation of tribes and stuff, where it's like, hey,
like we have in TNG and whatnot.
Exactly.
Like 2 occasions of it happening in TNG.
3 occasions if you count insurrection, but you could have had something like that where that's what spurned him to join the Maquis, where he was in the academy, or he was a Starfleet officer at the time where the events of the Next Generation was taking place, and then he found out that his home planet, where the Native American people had settled and had resided, it was now being taken over by the Cardassian Union, and the Cardassian Union was wanting to forcibly remove them. They could have had something like that, and they could have, they could have referenced what happened in the 17 and the 1800s and the 1900s with the Native American people. None of this happened.
But the problem is, there is an episode in TNG of that. Like,
but it could have been
literally
linked.
An episode about Native Americans that have just found their place on a planet and then need to be moved again.
But they could have linked it.
Thing where you're like, yeah, they could have. That's where his grandfather could have been, and they could have referenced it, and they could have had, maybe he has a hatred for Picard because Picard helped in that. Well, actually, no, they stay behind, don't they? They're allowed to stay behind, but all of that and stuff, it's just so frustrating. Like,
I feel
because it does play on. Sorry, I'm being rude and interrupting, but it's it does play on. It does play on, like, Chakotay going, "Hey, I'm scared of ending up like my grandfather," but then it doesn't seem to hit, and I'm not sure if it's how it's written or it's how it's acted or something, but it doesn't seem to hit like it should, of going, oh, this is about him not wanting to go crazy, and this is something that's played on his mind for like years, kind of thing. And that is what they're doing. That is what the episode's about, I think, because I don't know, but it doesn't work. Like, it doesn't come across that way, and I think it's because they're blindsiding us with aliens and this and chaotic space and all this, and they're kind of constantly trying to throw more exciting things in to overshadow this plot that, if it was the only thing going on, would have felt bigger, would have felt more important.
I just think overall, I think I don't think we're at the point of summarizing just yet, but overall, this is such a wasted episode. It's such a wasted episode slot where it could have been written a lot better. You could have had a more focus on the chaotic space, or you could have had more of a focus on Chakotay and his worries about his genetic illness or something like that. And we just get nothing. We get absolutely nothing. And the result...
one thing that we struggle with is fitting the bloody fighting in. Like, whatever way we take it, we're like, hang on, where does the boxing thing need to be here? Like, but that's the whole episode. The episode is literally called The Fight, and it's all focused on the boxing. And it just feels like one of the writers just had a hard-on for boxing and wanted to put it in the episode.
What is he fighting then? What is he fighting? Is he fighting his own demons? Is he fighting his own anxieties about going back to Earth? Is he fighting the worries about turning out like his grandfather and getting ill? Is he fighting the aliens? Yes. That we just don't know. And the whole aesthetic of the boxing, where it's in this dingy 70s 80s gymnasium, and this is supposed to be in the 24th century, and Boothby is there because he's just Mickey. Is it Mickey Rooney?
Yeah, I think that's who they're
Yeah,
trying to
and
make it, and
it's
it's
like,
insulting to Boothby, I think.
and it you know, it really, it it disingenuates it sorry, not disingenuate, it just takes a lot out of the Boothby character, because Boothby is used again for Species 8472, and it's like, why are you taking a character like this and twisting it to suit your own narrative when there are plenty of other people that you can
Yeah.
use? And for this, it, like, even the end of the episode, it's so on the nose for Rocky, and it's like, why do we need a Rocky episode in Star Trek? What is the symbolism of the boxing in this episode? Is it, like I said there, is it his inner demons? Is it the fight to get home? Is it the fight to battle a disease that you may have? Is it a fight against the aliens? There is no meaning to the symbolism that we are seeing, other than Chakotay used to box when he was at the academy, and this is the first time in 5.5 years that we are seeing it. There is just nothing there.
Do you think, this is an actor wish list episode? Like, like Riker in TNG being like, hey, I can play musical instruments. We should have some episodes where I'm playing musical instruments. And like, and Crusher being like, I can tap dance. We should totally have me tap dancing and stuff in. Like, do you kind of have Chakotay being like, hey, I want to be seen as sexier or something. So maybe put me in as like a boxer and I can get all sweaty and like show off that I'm a boxer in real life or something. Like, it feels like David Duchovny in the X-Files, where he just kept getting episodes put in where he was topless for no reason. And it's purely because he was like, hey, that'll make me like appeal to people more and stuff, and it'll like increase my cred. It feels like he wanted, like the actor or someone in the crew went, hey, we've got to make Chakotay seem tougher. So let's make him a Rocky boxer.
Let me read out, okay?
Does it say anything?
This is the
the
background.
wiki?
This is the background information for the fight, okay? And I quote: "The episode evolved from
Shit happens.
yeah, just what the fuck." The right, and I quote: "The episode evolved from the first Star Trek story that Michael Taylor contributed after joining Star Trek Voyager's writing staff. Scriptwriter Joe Menosky recalled, there was a guy living in the 21st century and feeling himself become unhinged. Because there are aliens trying to make contact. We were telling the story with Chakotay suffering a mental breakdown as a result of a first contact happening in our Voyager time. That was the story that Michael Taylor wrote. The outline of the plot was overly thorough. However, it was an extremely well-written document. Menosky remarked, I don't know if he actually put footnotes in it, but he might have. It was just so detailed and so intellectual. Rick Berman read the story and he just could not believe it. He just went off on, quote, these goddamn people like Michael Taylor. You need a subscription to the Journal of the American Medical Association just to understand his goddamn story. Rick then threw out the episode. Subsequently, executive producer Brannon Braga replotted the story, according to Cinema Fantastic. It was Chakotay actor Robert Beltran who posited the idea about his character boxing, so you were right on that one. However, Beltran himself explained that the idea was suggested to him by Kenneth Biller, Brannon Braga and Joe Menosky while all four were having a dinner together. According to Beltran, the idea came up that evening after he, at their request, pitched them a few episode concepts that ultimately weren't developed. Then they said, what about a boxing episode? And I said, I like boxing. Okay, let's just do that. Just give me about 2 months heads up so I can get in really good shape, so I can look like a real boxer. And then they said, okay, we'll do that. But then one day I got a call saying that they were doing the boxing episode next week. Beltran commented with a laugh. About the same time as the idea of doing a boxing episode was conceived, Joe Menosky wrote the episode script, which incorporated both that plot point, as well as the concept of first contact requiring a mental breakdown. After filming the installment, it was discovered that the story was too short, so the sickbay frame story was added to the episode's narrative. So
See,
there you go.
well, that's it. That's exactly what we suspected. Like it's just a mess of going, hey, we've got this idea, we've got this idea. Oh, and you want to do boxing, right? Okay, cool. We'll do that, it feels like it was one of those dinners between them where he was going like, hey, how can we make me more appealing and stuff, and they're like, well, oh, you could get your shirt off, or maybe you could do boxing, and he's like, yeah, that'll get me in magazines and stuff. I don't know, it just that's me being nasty to the actor maybe, but it's the fact of it feels like that when you see that in other shows, that
Hmm.
it's that kind of, hey, we need to up this character's like appeal or whatever, but it just
Yeah, there's like a
it doesn't work.
narcissism. There's either a narcissistic trait or it's a producer trait going, we need to make this male or female character more appealing to the audience
Yeah,
to
it's that
sex them
thing of
up a
going,
bit.
like going, oh, okay, like, and you'll see it, like, luckily Star Trek never has this, like, but it's that thing of where you'll get a character where they'll just, oh, they're randomly shirtless all the time now and stuff, and it's like, oh, we're trying to get more people watching. But luckily, Star Trek didn't do that.
But I'm super impressed that you were right, more or less. That it
These are
was
just
just
tropes in cinema, though.
it's yeah, but just the fact that they just
Hold
want.
on. Hopi's just said in the chat they were pushing to get Chakotay on the cover of Men's Health magazine. Imagine if this was your bid. Okay, so he's a nutter. Does that get him on? No? Never
I
mind.
just I think there's
Page
something beautiful.
recommendations.
I
Just
think
joined
there's
the chat.
something beautiful that symbolizes social anxiety where first contact leads to a mental breakdown. There's just so much symbolism in that where I have had many mental breakdowns before making first contact with someone. And I'm like, I can relate to that. But I mean, listening to Michael Taylor's story, that could have been more interesting. That would have been more interesting. Like making first contact led to a mental breakdown of Chakotay because of this gene that they thought was suppressed at birth. Like there could
Yeah.
have been something like that, and they could have.
It's such an interesting concept, though, and this episode skirts over it. Like the idea that, they get into chaotic space, and then there's aliens behind the scenes that live in chaotic space, and they can't communicate with people in a standard way. The only way that they can actually communicate with people is when they when they recognize if someone has a particular disposition towards like psychic contact or something like that, that they can kind of try and get an in there, like they have with the captain and the chief medical, or the is it the captain and the engineer on the alien ship that they find?
Yes,
It says two members of the crew, captain and someone else, and they go, "Oh, both of them fell susceptible to it." So there was two people on that ship that fell victim to it, but where their uh, genetics could be modified to make them a receiver for these messages, the same way that Chakotay is. But it does feel weird though, being like, "But there's telepathic people on the ship." Like, that's what feels weird. The fact that it's like, once again, everything that this episode does for Chakotay feels like it would have been better with a different character. Like, this would have been a Tuvok episode of going, oh, Tuvok's going crazy. Oh no, it's because he's the psychically inclined one, and that's the only way that these aliens can communicate. And also, I just get freaked out at the idea that these are aliens that can modify your genes, like
they can
through a
reactivate
distance.
genes. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
like
can.
how?
Yeah,
Are they like ghosts? Are they?
Voyager science, as
Yeah.
we call it. This is a Voyager science heavy episode, and
And when
the
we say
thing is,
Voyager
there's just
science,
two.
we mean skip all the middle bits, just wibbly wobbly stuff.
This, yeah, Voyager science, for those new to Trekking Up North, is what we use to explain things that happen in one episode and one episode alone, and then is never referenced ever again.
We've
because it
upgraded
would
the
cause,
sensors. Never gonna use them though.
but it would cause plot holes. And I'm just reading there whilst you were delivering your wonderful little bit there, that you mentioned Chakotay's hairstyle. This was
Someone did in the
so
show.
this was Chakotay's hairstyle. So for this episode alone, Chakotay has a new hairstyle similar to that of evil Chakotay hologram. This was in this episode only. So they decided to give him an emo do for the fight.
This was literally them trying to make him more appealing.
Exactly. So what they were trying to do, I think they were trying to get rid of the straight cut lace up Chakotay that we've seen as the officer and the gentleman, and give him a more gruff, rugged look where he doesn't do products or anything in his hair, and it's just disheveled, and he's sweaty and hunky, and he's got, you know, muscles and whatever attractive men have. He clearly hasn't discovered Manjaro yet, but it's such a disappointing episode. It's an episode with so much lost potential as well, and you know, people may think that we have dug on this episode, and we haven't. We've delivered constructive feedback. We have postulated what could have been and how they could have made this better and further deepen the background lore on Chakotay, and none of it is explored. Even 2 seasons later, none of it is explored, and ultimately Chakotay, even in Prodigy, is a wasted character. Like, there is just very little depth to this character, and it's like, how can you have, like, the Next Generation, DS9, and the original series movies and show, and have such depth to these characters, and then get to this point, you know, this is 1999 or 98, and still have such shallowness in certain characters in Voyager. Like, even Enterprise, like, yes, we didn't really get much with Reed and stuff, but we got a lot with most of the crew there. Yes, we wanted more of Hoshi, obviously, but
the thing is, the problem with Enterprise that I keep saying is the fact of, it wasn't that the characters didn't have potential and depth, it was that the writers just didn't use it. Where you're like, hey, like Reed, there's loads of stuff. Well, actually, Reed is like the Chakotay of like Enterprise, where you're just going, I think there's loads of stuff you could do there, but he's not very interesting as a person. He's literally just a dickhead. Like, his whole personality is, oh well, I'm really stuck up and I kind of don't really enjoy things or have fun. And you're like, that's a tough one to go for when it's already been perfected by Tuvok. But
they could have.
But like in Enterprise, they could have done Hoshi episodes. They just chose not to. It wasn't a case of they did Hoshi episodes and they fell flat. But that's what it is in Voyager. They're like, here's a Neelix episode, fell flat. Here's a Chakotay episode, fell flat. You know, it's so frustrating that Enterprise had that potential and didn't use it. But with this one, you're like, I'm glad they tried something with this to try and make Chakotay interesting, but it didn't work.
I'm going to summarize this. I'm really going to summarize this now, and then we'll get on to your notes. This is a wasted episode. It is a frustrating episode, and it's ultimately a confusing episode. And as we just read out there, things were tacked on to increase the runtime, and there could have been more interesting things they could have tacked on to further deepen the character development, or the aliens, or something like that. I feel they just cheapened out on this episode. I feel that they had an idea, they wanted to do a boxing episode, they wanted to reference Rocky, and they just didn't know how to build a good frame around that story-wise, and it just ultimately fell flat.
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to ask the chat, because obviously I put a call out on our Discord, trekkingupnorth.com/Discord, to basically go watch the episode before the show and then tell us what you think. So what did people think of what are people's thoughts about this episode in the chat? Let us know. Like,
even if you are watching this back, put a comment down below and tell us what you thought of this episode. Do you like this episode? If you like this episode, tell us why you like this episode, because we love to hear differing opinions, because we can agree to disagree. The joy of Trek is we can learn from other people's opinions and observations to make a new decision. And we have done this plenty of times in the past, where we have had an episode on the Dabo Wheel of Shame, and then rewatching it, we have changed our minds, we have changed our opinions, and we've gone in it with a brighter understanding. And that's what we would like to do with you, the audience, in the live chat, in the comments on Spotify, wherever you are listening to it. Let us know what you thought, because it's really interesting to get other people's opinions on shows that even me and Synoiz disagree. Because sometimes we get episodes where I like an episode, he doesn't, and then vice versa. But on this one,
we can watch the same thing and walk away with different opinions.
Exactly. Yeah. So what we say, fucking boring, effing infuriating, effing stupid. So Dystopian is not a fan of the fight. Let's just say. I don't have time to watch it. I was watching Sheep Detectives in the cinema last night. Oh,
I love that that's preferable to watching this episode of Voyager. It's a film called The Sheep Detective.
CGI sheep solving a crime is more interesting than the fight. Jason from Recommendations. What does... do you want to read out Jason's comment?
Yeah, recommendations. I like this episode. Goodwill is wearing a nice hat. I assume you are asking about this episode of Trekking Up North. No, I'm asking about this episode of Voyager, the fight that we are reviewing. But it is a lovely premium hat.
It's a premium. It's a premium.
Yeah, no, but what
embroidered.
do you think about it, recommendations? Have you covered this episode yet? Because this is what surprises me is that, like, this is one of the very few episodes where I can't imagine this being a person's favorite. I can't imagine someone being like, "Oh, I really, really liked this one," and it has that vibe about it where I don't think anyone's going, "Yeah, what a great episode! Oh, I love it! I love the things that this introduced."
I think this could only be someone's favorite episode if you were involved in the production.
I don't even think Robert Beltram likes this episode.
Maybe. I mean, like I said,
He doesn't like a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah, we'll gloss over that. But it just, I don't think this is. This is a weak...
Dave is now explaining the plot of the Sheep Detectives in the chat.
They were solving Hugh Jackman's murder. It's still more interesting than the fight. Yeah, that's the only way I can see this being someone's favourite episode, is if they were involved in the production, they were a guest star, or something like that. But even as a guest star, there is no guest stars. I mean, maybe the alien that fights Chakotay, that's about it. Like, there's just... I really struggle with this episode, and I had a crap day at work, and I got in, and I'm like, I have to watch the fucking fight.
Yeah, like, it's so annoying, because it's like that alien is just there, and he doesn't mean anything, and he could be symbolic or something. Like if we'd had it where, like, losing this fight was a massive deal in Chakotay's career. Like, it's like the turning point that Picard has, where he gets, like, stabbed in that bar fight, and it totally changes his, like, future. Like, this could have been a moment for Chakotay where he was in this fight, it was super important kind of thing, and he lost to this guy, and that's why his opponent in the boxing ring and the metaphor is carried on to this big fight that he has, like, mentally, and that's why the aliens that he's struggling against, because he refuses to listen to them, take on the form of his opponent. Because I was there being like, I don't get so many of these scenes. Like, it literally has a scene where he goes back into the dream, they're in the boxing ring, they've got Kid Chaos there representing the aliens and stuff as this nebula in a boxing hoodie, and then Tuvok and the security team are there with phasers pointing at him.
Why?
Saying, "Oh, they're set to kill." And I'm like, what's going on? Like, why are they attacking this? And, like, are they're figments of Chakotay's imagination, like, protecting him? But it's just such a mess.
It's such a mess, and I feel that we need to stop talking about it.
If we keep talking about this, we could be on the cover of Men's Health magazine.
We could be on the cover of Mental Health magazine if we continue talking about this. We have harped on for 94 minutes about this, and I think
too long.
It's too long. It's too long, as many people say about me. But do you have any notes for this episode?
I just want to say the phrase ventricular trajectory,
Ooh, say it again.
trimetric fracture. Uh,
Ooh.
oh, actually, I've got one thing in this episode because how meh this episode is. I don't even have any angry notes. Like, there's not anything that I was particularly bothered about. Like, there's no like what the fuck in capital letters. But the one thing that is in capitals here is why does the Doctor take notes? Where basically Chakotay comes out of the dream and he starts talking. Starts translating what the aliens are saying, and he's talking about like trimetric fractures and ventricular trajectory and stuff. And the Doctor brings out a pad and starts typing on it, like quickly trying to write it down. I'm like, surely he has a photographic memory. Surely, as he's like literally a computer program, he just remembers everything immediately that's said to him. Like, why would he need to take notes? Like, it just hit me as a weird thing.
It's a really lazy visual representation of
Yeah.
urgency in a situation. And like you
Exactly.
said, it's not needed because it's the Doctor. He's an EMH. They have recorders in sickbay. He is a goddamn hologram.
Maybe the Doctor doesn't work in chaotic space. Maybe something with the physics messes up the Doctor and they have to take him offline, and it's Paris that's having to help with all of this. But the problem is, because it's like the Doctor and he's a genius and he just immediately goes, yep, I've sorted you all out. I know exactly what the problem is. You just need to go through it and listen to these aliens. Like, all of the drama in the episode comes from Chakotay just ignoring everyone's advice and ignoring what people ask him to do and not taking his medicine. Like, and it's so, and there's no parallel between that and his grandfather. Like, his grandfather went, hey, I'm not going to take my medicine, and then Chakotay's like, hey, I'm just not going to do the thing I don't want to do. And it just, I don't know, if they'd had Paris doing it, then it would make sense why he's taking notes and he's trying to make sense of things, and there's an urgency and there's a sort of, oh my God, what the hell's happening? But the Doctor literally works it out. Well, we get told what the twist is before in the cold open because of this weird schedule structuring. But then the Doctor kind of just goes, oh yeah, I've done this scan. Yeah, you're being talked to by aliens. Yeah. Because this genetic thing, and you're like,
Voyager
wow,
science.
Yeah. Anyway,
I have a note. I have a note.
Yeah.
Before you continue, it's reassuring to know two things in the 24th century. One, gambling still exists in the Federation, and two, so does Las Vegas. Because there is a scene where Paris is going, oh, the odds are in, and the odds are in from Vegas, Mars, and Orion 3, and I'm like, Vegas has got a planetary level status in gambling, and and I just, it was weird, man. It was weird to hear
Vegas
that.
have suffered couldn't Vegas have been hit by the beam that hit Florida in like Enterprise? Couldn't that at least have been?
That's what we're doing in August.
Aim lower.
That's what I'm going to say in August. When we hit Las Vegas.
That's how I'm getting through fucking customs.
Breaking news, everybody! Breaking news! Guess who has been accepted entrance into the United States of America?
But my visa has been has been approved. I don't know how, but there we go. So yeah, I'm ready for my cavity search. I'm going to be disappointed if I don't get one.
What I absolutely adore is it's like, hey, put your social media, and there's an option for LinkedIn, and I'm like,
maybe you're proud of it. Maybe you're just like,
who posts anti-American stuff on LinkedIn? Like,
imagine if you did, though. It's just
all those virtual recruiters just posting anti-American stuff, and I'm like, oh, it was just very weird. Is it a visa or is it an ESTA? It's an ESTA, but still, it's the same checks still apply. But yes.
I won't be working over there. I'll be wearing a dress and annoying Rosalind Chao. That's the mission.
I am his driver. I am Science Officer Synoiz's driver. He shall be waving at the plebs like a.
I'll call you Parker. I'll sit in the back of the car.
Oh, could you please call me Parker? Could you please call me Parker? Could you please have one of those cigarettes on a really long stick? where
It's going to be
you...
one of those candy ones. It's going to be one
Oh
of
my God, I would love that.
those.
I would love it. I would just, yes, milady. And I could get out the car and just do this.
No, what? That's how you walk normally. Like, don't try to cover this
It
up.
is. I've got a bad hip at the moment, so that's how I walk. I get up in the morning and I'm just like, "Argh!" But do you have any more notes?
No, I don't think so. Like, I think it's more what we've discussed in the chat between us is the idea of there's so many great ideas in this that aren't the boxing that would have just fleshed out more. Like the idea of, I love the idea of chaotic space. That could have been really exciting. I love the idea of aliens trying to communicate with you and it being seen as a mental illness, or the idea of dealing with hereditary mental illness, or the fear of pre-existing conditions, because that's something that we could all really relate to. Because I've got loads of people where they go, oh, my dad has dementia, so am I going to get that? Is that something that's going to happen in my future? And like that fear of it. And you kind of go, maybe that's what the episode is trying to do, but it doesn't. Like, it doesn't lean into that enough to make it the plot. And there's so many things that could have been done with it, like, but just no one's used properly. Like even Janeway drops in a sort of little bit of lore bomb of like the one exam that she failed at, at the academy was this science problem that comes up in this episode. I didn't even write it down. I was doing Duolingo. It was really difficult. We were learning about the dative tense, but it's the fact of, like, that's important, that's kind of important to the episode and like her lore, and then it's never mentioned again and just kind of scurried away in like a couple of lines. But yeah, it's a shame, and it's a real shame that we just never, I think the one Chakotay episode we get that is actually worth watching, which is a horrible thing to say, is the one where he goes through all the different times around the ship.
Yeah, that we've reviewed.
Yeah, that was good, because it was just going like, but the big problem is it didn't need to be Chakotay. Like, it's a great episode, but because Chakotay is just a nothing character, it could have been anyone playing that, and that's a shame.
It's like
but
they
it
had
is
to
an
give it
episode
something
that
to
I won't
do.
skip because it's good.
Yeah, I have literally one more note about this episode. It should have been Chaotica space.
Chaotica space.
It should have been.
We need more. We get Bride of Chaotica in this season, and I think that's the last time he appears, isn't it?
We need more Chaotica in our lives.
Oh no, he appears in the episode we did. Yeah, that is his last appearance.
Yes,
and then Lower Decks.
We need more Chaotica, and it should have been Chaotica space. I think that would. Right.
But now we have to move on. So now, I don't know, we haven't discussed this, okay? However, what we're doing for the Dabo Wheel this week is I have a challenge for you.
Oh, tits.
To see which one that we spin on.
Oh, okay. I'll postpone what I was going to do until next week.
Yes, you can't control everything. Yes.
All right. Okay. that was kind of passive aggressive, but okay.
That's my way of trying to reframe it, rather than, hey, Goodwill, rather than you always doing all the work, I'll do something for a change. That was my way of owning it.
This week you have worked your clogs off to pull Trekkin
compared to the 3 years we've been doing. Has it been 3 years?
Has it only been 3 years? It feels like 30. Anyway, what's this challenge?
The challenge is, okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and if you get it right, we spin on the Dabo Wheel of Honor. If we get it wrong, we spin on the Dabo Wheel of Shame.
Oh, okay. God, it's going to be Code of Honor next week.
Okay, so here's a question, though. We're only talking live action episodes, okay?
Oh, God,
How many episodes does Boothby appear in? Across all of Star Trek.
Across all of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Okay.
He appears in TNG, he appears in Voyager, and he appears in Lower Decks as a voice, but that's not counted here.
But it's not
How many
it's not the
episodes
actor.
overall?
It's not the actor in Lord X. It's an impersonation.
Yeah,
So
but the character, yeah.
we
Or, yeah.
have his introduction in The Next Generation when we see, ironically, Nick Lucano. So that's a two-parter, I believe. So that's 2 episodes. He's also in 2 episodes of Voyager. This one and the one with Species 8472. So that's 4. I'm trying to remember if he was in DS9, because they do go to Starfleet Academy. I'm gonna go right. Okay. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say 5 episodes.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, that's my final answer.
It's not correct.
Oh!
As far as I know, I'm looking at the pages here. It's only 3 episodes.
What?
He's in the first duty. He's mentioned.
That's not a two-parter.
It's not
Yeah.
a two-party. It's the first duty with and it's only one, and then the other 2 you got right. He's in this one, and then he's in the one with where he's played by.
Is it
member
only
of Species
3
H.
episodes?
Yeah. And that's the frustrating thing. A character with so much potential, like where everyone went through the academy and everyone seems to have a story about him, and they bring him back to be a bloody boxing coach in this episode.
But this again shows how well they used to do side characters where
Yeah. He
if
feels
you
like a
are
living, breathing part of the
really
universe.
if you are really pedantic, he only appeared in 1 episode. As the actual Boothby was 1 episode, and then the other 2 were aliens.
Like they could have got him. They could have put him back in when they. It is the 2-parter where they go back to Academy in DS9, isn't it?
Yes.
Where they're talking about the changelings.
That's what tripped me up, because I genuinely thought he was in that.
Yeah, he's not.
What?
It's, unless, am I right, everyone in the chat? Because I'm going with their things. But yeah,
Dystopian is saying 3, so we will go with that. Parker, new kink to unlock. Wow.
That's my fetish. Being
Wow.
driven round like
Someone
what's
like
her name from
Penelope,
Lady Penelope,
Lady Penelope,
Lady
oh my God.
Snatchington, of
Lady
the Snatchington Snatchings.
Penelope Snatch. Oh my God, I need to rent a pink car. That's what we need to do.
Oh God, could you get
my
that for
God.
like $300?
Oh my God,
car.
you could call me Park Her. It'll be well.
Park her and come with me.
Deep in Kevin. Right. Because I failed miserably.
Bring out the shame.
Oh, I don't even have to change the algorithm. I don't have to change the link.
Did you actually have any pictures for this episode, or did you just fuck it
Yes.
off?
What do you mean?
I don't think we ever did the pictures. I don't think we
You mean
changed the
these?
pictures for it.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Oh, we did.
Yes.
Okay, it's just
You
me
were
not
in that
paying
much of
attention.
you were in that much of a tornado of
Look at his
ranting.
hand. Oh, look at his hand.
Oh,
would you believe?
Would you believe that Chakotay's gone? He's a bad pot. Oh, he's been punching Vulcans. Look at him. Oh, and it's purple. Look at his hair. Look at that. Very emo.
Also, can we talk about how amazing it is that Tuvok just has none of Chakotay's shit? Like, Chakotay literally tries to, like, fight him, like, when he's having a hallucination, and Tuvok just immediately sidesteps him and, like, nerve pinches him. It's just like, yeah, no one fucks with Tuvok.
Isn't that a lesson we need in real life when dealing with customers, folks? We just need look, when they get funny, just nerve pinch them. It's fine.
Yeah.
They may slam their head off the desk. It's fine.
I love that other people learn it as well. Like, people who aren't Vulcans learn how to do the nerve pinch and just abuse it. And it's like, because you would. It's like, if there was like a thing in real life where it was like, oh yeah. Punching the screen. Oh.
I mean, just imagine the insomnia that will be cured. Look, here's the doctor. I had a joke.
I feel
It's
sorry
gone.
for the Doctor in this because Robert
Picardo's so good in
literally
this.
all of the scenery because there's just nothing for him to work with, and he steals every scene, but you can tell that he's like, really, this is what I'm doing, you know.
I love the 90s Dutch angles where we've had 30 years of Dutch angles. Let's just keep going. And then in this episode, we just have. But Picardo is brilliant in this episode. He really
We
is.
haven't even talked about Picardo, but it's the fact of he's the best thing about it, I think.
Speaking of the best thing about it, welcome
Not this one.
everybody. Sorry, I'm just going to enlarge it. Hang on.
Enlarge my wheel.
Right, welcome everybody to the Dabo Wheel of episodes. If you are new to Trekkin Up North, first of all, welcome and click that subscribe button. Science Officer, I'm smelling burnt toast. Science Officer Synoiz.
Are aliens trying to talk to you? Is that what
Yes,
this is?
I
Have
feel
they
like
reactivated your like red car gene?
Must twok bike. For those that are new to Trekkin Up North, this is the Dabo Wheel of episodes, and within it, Science Officer Synoiz, in his clever Geesian ways, has programmed every episode of Star Trek in existence within it, and much like a finely honed whiskey, we have distilled it to 12 good episodes and 12 bad episodes, and over the course of what seems like forever, we have been getting through these bit by bit. And because I lost the challenge this week, we must spin the Dabo Wheel of Shame. When the wheel lands, we must all yell at the top of our lungs, Dabo! You must all comment on the comments below. If you are in the live chat, you must put it in the live chat. If you are part of all of our socials, you must put the word Dabo. If you know where I live, I'm scared, but throw a pigeon through the window saying Dabo.
Yeah, shout it at an evil crow that's attacking hedgehogs outside your house. You know, like various different ways.
Phone up British Gas. Wait 25 minutes on hold just to scream Dabo at an employee, and
Hello,
then
I'd like to
immediately
speak to a person, please. Thank you. Dabo!
Go to your local Tesco, wrestle the receptionist for the tannoy, and scream Dabo to terrify people in the fridge aisle. Anyway, as ever on Trekking Up North, I have to ask it, and I know exactly what the answer is going to be, but Science Officer Synoiz, what Dabo Wheel of Shame episode would you like to see next week?
Well. Actually, you know what? There's the obvious answer because we still have the
Sub
classic.
Rosa again.
No, that's out of there. Luckily,
We should do Sub Rosa round 2. We really should.
for Halloween. Let's do that for Halloween.
2 sub, 2 Rosa. We should absolutely.
2 sub 2 Rosa. No, I do. Yeah. I think I want to see Balance of Terror.
Oh, I was about to say.
That's the
I was about to
controversial
say
one
that.
because I put that in the Dabo Wheel of Shame, and that's probably your best hope of getting a good episode out of what's remaining in here.
Hang on. Would you believe? I was going to say Balance of Terror because we have not had an original series episode for a little bit, and I fancy dipping my tootsies into the 1960s once again. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to spin the Dabo wheel. So take a deep breath. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Code of Honor's there.
Holy shit, it's that episode.
Oh, wow.
Oh, DS9.
You know what's really strange? It would be hilarious if I could get her on. But I was just in Newcastle the other week at a Kate Butch gig. Kate Butch is a very, very funny drag queen. who's been on RuPaul's Drag Race season 5, and was it season 5? Yeah, and obviously Drag Race UK versus the World season 3. And I was interviewing her before her show, and I mentioned Star Trek, and she was like, "Oh, I saw some of that. I put on this episode randomly, and it was about this guy who had to get changed into a woman for this thing." And I was like, "Oh, Prophet and Lace." And he was like, "Yeah, it was pretty good," and it was just really bizarre that that was last week that this episode got mentioned. And yeah, I think it's a really interesting one to discuss because a lot of people see this as problematic, whereas I think it's one of those episodes where at the time you're like, this is pretty progressive, like because the framing of the episode and what happens in it is from the perspective of getting a misogynist and a dickhead to walk in another person's footsteps and become more compassionate because of it. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about this one because you put this in the Dabo Wheel of Shame, whereas I was not sure about putting it in the Dabo Wheel of Honor. I wanted it in one of them, basically.
Considering we've just discussed Balance of Terror, where that was in my Dabo Wheel of Honor, and that was in your Dabo Wheel of Shame. It's a good juxtaposition. This was Alexander
situation.
This was Alexander Siddig's last directorial go at a Star Trek episode, shall we say? Anyway, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 6, Episode 23, Prophet and Lace. Grand Negazek is deposed after he begins to promote female rights. Quark changes his sex temporarily to prevent Brunt from becoming the new Grand Nagus. So we get Jeffrey Combs in this episode because we get Liquidator Brunt. This is, it's a Ferengi
What do we
episode.
also get that gets brought back up in Picard?
Oh my god! We get Sluggo Caller, the slimiest caller in the galaxy. This is the introduction of Sluggo Caller, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we say introduction, we say the only time it's ever referenced ever until Picard. I'm pretty sure it doesn't get mentioned again.
I'm not gonna lie, folks. I am tremendously looking forward to this. I really are. This is going to be a good discussion episode because there are opinions of this episode out there, and it would be great to see Jeff. The magnificent Jeffrey Combs. It would be great to hear Synoiz's opinion and hear my opinion, and then hear your opinion. If you are going to tune in to Trekking Up North to see our review of Prophet and Lace, hop on over to Paramount Plus. If you do not have Paramount Plus, find it some other way.
Well, this is the problem we had, okay? Because Netflix have shot themselves in the foot by taking, by not doing Trek on it anymore. And normal Prime doesn't really have it on unless you pay per season. So we're kind of saying, hey, everyone, watch this episode with us. And it's like, oh, you can't, despite paying for 4 different streaming services. It's very frustrating.
Obtain a way to watch this episode and then join us next week as we discuss Prophet and Lace. It's an infamous episode. It's going to be an interesting one to discuss. But anyway.
And also, you know what's going to be exciting about it? This is going to be my birthday episode. This is the episode that we will be reviewing for my birthday, which is surreal.
Hang on. No expense has been spared for this occasion. No expense. Hang on. There we go. No expense.
Happy birthday.
No, this is
no
Card
expense
Factory's.
spared or spent.
No. Wow.
No expense spent.
This is highly insulting. How dare I dug into my prop store for this?
That's the room. That's the corner of the room. You just call the corner of the room your props.
Why is there a box of Fruit Loops? I don't know.
When he was round at mine the other week when we were sorting out stuff for America, he literally just mentioned that Charlotte had seen his props corner and was like, what the fuck is all this? We're just this pile of junk, and it's all the stuff that we have on the podcast.
It's like there's just down here and this here is just the shit props. So it's there's everything and anything to make this show the high quality production that I really hope it was. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to our review of what were we reviewing?
The Fight.
Oh God, I was that excited about Profit and Lace I completely forgot we just spent 2 hours reviewing The Fight. Thank you so much to everyone for for listening to our review of The Fight from Star Trek Voyager Season 5. I would like to thank my delicious Geesian co-host, Science Officer Synoiz. Beautiful and resplendent in his dynamic lighting. Look at him. Look at him.
I'm going to keep this on because I'm going to be streaming after this.
Oh,
I'm going to be
well, that's
live
what-
on Twitch.
That's what I was going to ask. If you are live on Twitch after, you can
Playing
find...
some more Resident Evil Requiem. I'm really liking it, but it's making me jump a lot. Like,
It's a jumpy game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find Synoiz's Twitch down below, twitch.tv/Synoiz. You can catch all of the socials Trekkin Up North down below, as well as our friends of the show, such as the delicious Jason from Trekkommendations, as well as the Transporter Room, Captain's Quadrant, and you know all the other sexy people that do the show far better than we do. Without further ado, I have been Captain Goodwill. He has been Science Officer Synoiz. Join our Discord. Stay safe, live long and prosper. And as ever, and as more relevant on Trekking Up North, Miles.
Miles?
Miles.
Miles. Keep
You
them
can-
away, Miles.
You can run from
I know
us.
they paid for a photograph, but keep them away.
You can run from us, Rosalind Chao.
Ciao!
Ciao! You could run from us, Rosalind Chao, but we will find you.